freeze.
Welcome back to the next part of this Truth and Rhythm episode. Be sure to subscribe to this channel. If you've already done so, please share it with friends. Also become a member by joining Truth and Rhythm on Patreon, or consider donating at funkinstuff.net. Thank you so much for your interest and support. Enjoy.
Now, I know that not too long ago you redid the Payback, and were you actually part of that original recording, or were...
Of course.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So that's probably my all-time favorite James Brown album.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you for that, because I not only did the high note on Payback, but I did all of the background on that entire album. It was, Fred Wesley was the producer. And so he chose me to do the background along with a couple of other young ladies, but they didn't work out. So he says, well, I guess I'm gonna have to hire some other girls. I said, well, I can do the harmonies. I can do all of the harmonies. And he said, really? You want to do that? And I said, sure. I mean, why not? You don't have to hire anyone else. You can pay me. Pay me free monies, to do. And so it worked out. It was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was an honor for me.
I just, I do these funk radio shows. And when I did, I put the Payback as my number one first choice for JB. So
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. Thank you for that. That's an honor. I appreciate that.
And as we talked before we came on air, I was telling you, like, when I, came to the James Brown scene, basically it was a little bit later, but I just was captivated, when I first heard Body Heat and from that era. And a little after that were songs like Spank, I think, and Too Funky in Here. I mean, he was still kicking butt, in the late 70s, even though a lot of people turn their focus away somewhat at that point, because of disco and other things. But
exactly. And that's exactly what happened. It was the disco era. And then, the people stopped using live bands and everything, just was all the lights and the turntable and stuff, so, but fortunately we were able to work overseas during that era, and we did a lot of discotheques, live music at the discotheques in Europe, and it was great. It was a lot of fun. It was different, different feel and everything, because they played the disco music, but while the time that we were on stage, it was all of the lights flashing and everything, so it was really cool, and it was a different thing then, because before the disco era, we played a lot of auditoriums and large places and everything. Now during the 70s, it was all about the clubs, playing disco, and so that's what we did. We worked a lot of clubs, disco clubs, and it was great. It was fun.
And you got a solo album in '79 at the height of disco. And I see it to kind of categorize as disco now, but to me, I mean, like, the title track was really funky, Showdown.
Yeah, it was. And it was more so some disco, included in my album. And it got lost because by '79, that's when the disco era was going out, and the funk was coming back in, the live bands and everything. So yeah, I got a little caught up in the middle. But it was, I still was able to, even now I do my song Showdown, you know, with a funkier feel, a different feel, and it's fun. It's really fun.
Now, I'm guessing you probably recorded a lot of things that maybe I know got released later, maybe some still haven't gotten released, right?
Yes, with Mr. Brown, I did record some songs that actually wasn't really released. Georgie Girl. I did Summertime with Mr. Brown, but that's on one of his albums. That was released on one of his albums. And that was about it during that time. I didn't record anything else, not until actually in the 90s, you know, I started recording on my own. But during that time, that was the only thing that I kind of recorded, was the album with Soul Records.
Were you at that show where Michael Jackson and Prince were there?
Yes. And Beverly, yes, at the Beverly Theater. Yes.
So what was that experience like for you?
That was fantastic. It was great. It was fun. You know, when Michael Jackson came on the stage, I get I'm blushing because he when he came on stage and he performed with Mr. Brown, and then just before Prince came on the stage, he walked back to me where I was standing, and he whispered in my ear and told me how much he loved my voice and he loved my singing. And I said, "Oh, thank you so much." But inside of me, I was just like, "Oh my God, Michael Jackson!" And he kissed me on my cheek, and I was like, "Oh, is anybody taking a picture of this?" I was so thrilled, and oh my gosh, I was such a big fan of his as well. You know, so it was great. And when Prince came on the stage, I had never seen him before. And I was like, who is this tiny little guy? Who is this tiny little guy? And he came on stage and he performed. And then as he walked off the stage, he grabbed this prop that looked like a light, and it went tumbling over. And thanks to his bodyguard, he caught him, you know. So that was that was quite funny.
It almost seemed like Prince didn't quite know what to do. You know, he was still just coming up and maybe a little overwhelmed with.
I think he was. Yeah. I think it was. And then I met him after I left Mr. Brown and joined Maceo Parker. Well, then I saw him quite a bit because him and Maceo were very good friends. And Maceo also performed with them a lot. And in return, he would come out to some of our shows. You know, he would be overseas, and all of a sudden he's here. You know, Prince is there, and he was there, and he would come out on the stage on my songs. Every time I sang, whenever I sang, he would come out on the stage, and he would either play the guitar or the organ on my show, on my song. So wow. I was like really proud of that. I was like, oh my gosh, I think my song is the only one that he likes. So he comes out there and perform on my song. That was great. But yeah, I met him. I got to know him very well. And he was really a cool guy. We worked at his club at Paisley Park a couple of times. And also did an opening for him at this large venue in New Jersey. I can't remember the name of it, but we performed with him there. So
wow. Yeah. And I mean, obviously, Michael and Prince, such disciples of James Brown, and
yes.
You know, it's reflected in so many ways.
Oh, sure.
Michael's performing from a young age, and
exactly.
Prince's band leading. And, you know, he also was very similar to James Brown in being so strict with his band and rehearsing them like crazy.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I was told that that he watches Mr. Brown's videos constantly. That's what I was told about Prince, you know. So he was a big fan of his as well. And Michael Jackson really loved him.
Did Prince ever ask you to tell you James Brown stories?
No. You know what? When I first met him, I was kind of afraid of him. I would, I would keep my distance from him. I don't know why, but I don't know. I just felt a little strange. So when I would see him approaching me, I would start doing something to distract him, to make sure that he wouldn't come to talk to me. I don't know why, but and then when I finally met him, I thought he was like Mr. Brown. That's what it was. I thought that he was a little cocky like Mr. Brown, and so I didn't want to deal with that, you know. So I kept my distance. Then when I found out, then when I did finally meet him, introduced to him, he was very, very nice, very kind. Yeah, very soft spoken.
How do you think James Brown felt about them as being disciples of his? And, you know, did he hold them in,
Yes, he was very proud that they had, you know, that they had chose him, and that they admired him. He really felt good about that. He really did. Yeah. And he was very, 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 very fond of Michael Jackson. So yeah.
Were you on the scene when James kind of had that renaissance with Living in America? He had a big comeback. It got thrust back into sort of the public spotlight.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. After he came out of in prison, you know, when he was in prison, after he came out, that's what the big pay-per-view was all about, you know, him coming out and getting back into the business. It was quite it was a very, very big moment, and everybody showed their love because we had a great audience, and the pay-per-view really went over well. And yeah, that we did that, and we worked from then on. Everything was great, you know. So he was happy. He put on a fantastic show at that time, and it was great getting back to work.
I had Lou from Full Force was on the show and talked about doing that comeback album with James Brown in '87. I can't think of the name of that album, but that was fun too. And
was it Gravity?
No, it was after that, '87.
Oh yes, I know what album you're talking about. No, I can't remember the name of it either. But yeah.
There's some good stuff on it. He actually tried to let a little of the like electronic and hip hop influence come into what he was doing.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he was choosy. He was choosy about who, as far as the hip hop was concerned, you know, who he was involved with. You know, he was picky about that.
Did you get a sense that he felt honored that he was providing so much music for rap and hip hop?
Yes. He was very honored to know that that the hip hop had embraced him and wanted to, you know, was using some of his, you know, as a what do you call it?
Sampling.
Yeah, sampling, and it was a moment too where he was disgusted because of how they were used, and with the disrespect of not, you know, acknowledging using his music and everything, you know, so not acknowledging him. So there was a moment, there was a time that had to be straightened out, you know, and it did, yeah. And most of the hip hop, they of course they got in touch with him and let him know, you know, that they admired him so much and they wanted to use his music, you know. So they were proud, and they got in touch with him like they were supposed to. It was cool, you know. Mm-hmm.
That album, by the way, was called "I'm Real," I think, from '87.
Yes, it was. Yeah. Yes, it was. I'm Real.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You participated in that Tales from the Tour Bus.
I was portrayed in that, but it was because of Christian McBride. He kind of, told the story of one time, the time he was out with us, and how he met Mr. Brown, and how we became friends, and I introduced him to Mr. Brown. So that's what that was all about. But I wasn't a part of it. No.
Was it a kick to see yourself animated in that?
Yeah, it was cool. It was like, wow, look at that. And they kind of like, well, they had my blonde hair and everything. So yeah, it was cool. It was an honor.
Was that story pretty accurate though?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, he told it right.
Something else.
Yeah, it was really funny.
What's behind the title of your book?
That, that's a saying that Mr. Brown had. And actually, I wish that I had, well, it was a saying that Mr. Brown had, and I guess no one really know about that, but except for the people that work with him, but I'll just say, I remember one time we were on stage. No, not on stage. We were at a restaurant, and Mr. Brown ordered a certain thing, and after he ordered, all of us ordered the same thing that he did. And the waiter was kind of confused, like, well, why is everybody ordering the same thing? He was just kind of like looking and like, what's going on here? So Mr. Brown was watching them, and Mr. Brown turned around to me and said, "Is you see that guy? Look at his face." He said, I don't know, something wrong with him. He's a funny cat, Miss I. So that was a saying that he had when he would see something awkward or something that he didn't really agree with or wasn't too cool about. He was, funny cat. So only people that know him know what that was all about. That was a saying that he had. And I just I thought about many things that when he would use that phrase, so I just that's why I named the book, because it was definitely James Brown.
That's for the insiders right there.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
What was it like the first time you got to appear on TV?
Scary, because as you said, Mr. Brown wants everything to be just right. And, he was, he drilled us, to do, exactly right. And it was kind of, I was nervous too, because I had never been on TV, not until I joined Mr. Brown. I did local, I think I did. Yeah, I did some local stuff, but it was on a different level. It was on a different level. And to be on, I think that my first appearance with Mr. Brown was on Johnny Carson. Was with Johnny Carson, and back in the day, it was Johnny Carson and Ed Sullivan. I did a show with him on Ed Sullivan. So it was quite an experience then. Very nervous, and so was he. But I guess maybe once he got on stage, he was just like, it was just a normal thing for him. But it was quite exciting too. I did American Bandstand with him, and Soul Train, and different shows like that. It was great. It was really great at that time.
What was Johnny Carson and Ed Sullivan, were those live at that time?
Yeah, they were live. Mm-hmm. Yes, they were. Mm-hmm.
A little extra pressure.
Yes. And then we, we've done, I've done Arsenio Hall, David Letterman, The Morning Show, Good Morning America, many, many, many shows I can't even remember, but there were many. There were many, yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Martha, out of all of the band members that you worked with, especially like back, when you first got part of James Brown's band and with the JBs, who was like a cut up? Who was a clown? Who like cracked everybody up all the time? Was there a person that sort of had that role?
Yes. Maceo was the clown at first. When I first joined, Maceo was the clown. And also Country was a guitar player when I first joined, and he was a funny cat. He was a funny cat and always kept things going and people laughing and everything, so yeah, they were funny guys.
Were they pranksters also, or?
Maceo is definitely a prankster. He loved to, especially me, he loved to scare me, to hide in some place or somewhere and scare me. When I come off the stage or coming down the hallway or something like that, he hid and he would scare me. And also coming off the stage, I not knowing that he's in the back of me, and he toot his horn and I jump and I turn around and he'll just be standing there looking at me like, what? So I was like, you just scared me. Why did you do that? And he said, what did I do? I didn't do anything. Yes, you did. So yeah, he was a funny guy. And then we had a gentleman on the show with us, Charles Sherrill, which Mr. Brown gave him the name of Sweet Charles. Oh, wow. He was so hilarious and kept people laughing and everything. So yeah, we had pranksters and funny guys on the stage, that always kept things going. Mm-hmm.
You got to have that with
Ronald
those.
Ronald Laster. Yeah, I think Ronald Laster was the last one, last funny guy that kept stuff going all the time.
You got to have those guys with some levity to break up the intense touring and rehearsing and all that, right?
Yes. And Fred Wesley was quite a character too. So it was always Maceo, Fred Wesley, Sweet Charles, and then Ronald Laster, and maybe I think Jimmy Moore. So it was a different times, different people. So different years. They were funny.
Did they fall in line if James Brown would walk in the room, or did they kind of keep it going?
No, they would fall in line. And I don't think anyone would clown around when Mr. Brown would come in. No, everybody just cut it short then.
Martha, I know this will be challenging, but are there one or two performances with James Brown that you can share with us that just really stand out for whatever reason, whether it was just something unexpected happened, the crowd was crazy, you performed in front of your family or something, whatever it was, two shows that really stand out for you?
Well, actually, the first one that really stand out for me is when we played Madison Square Garden. And Mr. Brown had a pedestal built that when I got on that pedestal, I was just like, I felt like I was the Statue of Liberty because I was overtowering everyone. It was the most exciting time for me. Because that's when the big Payback came out. And so he had me standing on that pedestal, and the first voice you would hear when the music started playing was me, doing the high note. I felt 10 feet tall. And for him to put me out there like that, I was just like, wow, you know, my voice and it rang through the Madison Square Garden. It was just like, it was just big, you know. Excuse me. And that was the time of my life. I will never forget that time. And I just kind of asked him, why did he do that? You know, and he said, Miss High, I wanted everybody to know. I wanted everybody to know that that was you, and it wasn't any keyboards, or it wasn't a horn or anything that's making that high note. I wanted people to know that it was you. And that just really made me feel good. And I was very proud. That was one of my favorite times. And then the second time, when I had to sing solo again, because Vicki Anderson sprained her ankle at a show in London at the Hammersmith Odeum. And I had to go out to perform in her place, and I wasn't ready. And Mr. Brown called me to his room and said, "This is how you got to go on stage. You got to sing." And I was like, no, I can't do that because I'm not prepared. And he said, "You know the song?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I know one of the songs, but I can't do it." "This is how you go then. You perform that song. It's now or never." And I was like, oh my God. I was really, really nervous. And of course I knew respect, but I was used to doing the background. So I had to go out on the Hammersmith Odeum stage and perform in front of all of these people. You know, it wasn't in the States, it was in London, England. And I was like, oh, I can't do this. I'm not. And Maceo approached me before I went on stage. He said, "Don't think about it, just do it. Just go out there and do it. You know, you can do it." And I took a deep breath. I walked out on stage. I grabbed the mic and I started singing. And after I finished and walked off the stage, I got a standing ovation. I was like, oh my gosh, they liked me. And I went back out and took a bow, and that was the two times that I will never forget.
Wow, those are great. Thank you for sharing those.
Yeah.
Whose idea was it to do that high part at the beginning of Payback?
Fred Wesley. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Might have known. Wow.
But he didn't think that I could do it. He said, "You think you can hit this note?" I said, "Well, I don't know." I said, I never really sang this high, but I could try. And when he told me, how I'd go and everything, I said, "Okay, I'll try it." And the first time I hit it, and he's like, "It's high, you can sing that high." And I said, "Yeah, well, that's my name, Martha High."
That's perfect. Yeah. You already had the name at that point, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you fulfilled the prophecy with that.
I did.
So, and I'm imagining you still had butterflies probably later when you went out on your own after James Brown and became a front woman, yes. Responsible for your own shows.
Yeah. Well, thank God that before I left Mr. Brown, that's when I did a tour with Bobby Byrd. During that time, I was still with Mr. Brown, and we had some time off, and fortunately, I was able to do that tour with them overseas. And I did solo then, and that kind of helped me to know that yes, okay, I would like to try, to do my own thing, to become a soloist. And I didn't think that I would. I don't know. At one time, I didn't think I was going to leave Mr. Brown. I thought I was always going to be there with him. And I mean, because that's what he had said, "I'm not going to put you out on the road. You stay with me. You want to just be with me all the time." And I was like, oh God. I wanted to try my own thing, but During the time that I was with him, I was writing my songs. I was writing different songs. And I did record a couple, I did a demo of a couple of songs that I had written. And, you know, just kind of looking into the future, hopefully, you know, will I try to do something on my own? And after leaving Mr. Brown and joining Maceo, well, for a while I wasn't, he didn't put me out front, but eventually, you know, I started doing solo with him. Then through the years working with him, I really, really got to feel that I wanted to be a solo artist. I wanted to do my own thing. So I started preparing myself to do my own thing. And I eventually found a manager and a booking agency, and it started from there. You know, it started from there. I was working in Europe, and I was nervous at first when I first went out on the stage, but I always remember what I had learned being with Mr. Brown, you know, how to entertain, because I watched him for 30 some years. And then of course with Maceo, you know, so I felt that I was ready. I was ready to start my own career. It was late, but I started it, and I'm glad I did, because I'm still working and still performing, still recording. So it's a blessing.
Wow. That's some serious seasoning you got before you actually went out on your own.
Yes, indeed, indeed. You know, I have this song called "The Hardest Working Woman in Town," and a friend of mine wrote that for me, and he said, "Yeah, you know, I want to do this because you work just as hard as James Brown." I said, "Really, you think so?" He said, "Yes, I know so." He said, "I've watched you perform." So that was I was like, okay, you know. And when he wrote the song, I really liked the words and how it felt. You know, it's sort of like a funky blues and everything. You know, so it was cool. Yeah.
Why do you think that Europe, and I guess to some extent places like Japan and so forth, have been more welcoming and seemingly more interested in supporting, you know, funk music since probably the 80s or 90s? You know, why is that? Why has America not been, you know, as supportive?
Well, I think, and you're absolutely right. You know, they are the other countries are very, very supportive to the point where they even told me things about myself that I had forgotten or that I didn't even remember. You know, they're very into, because I think they like that era of music, and they don't forget it. They haven't forgotten it. Whereas here in the States, you know, I talk to some young kids and everything, they don't know who James Brown is. And that's amazing, because, and then that makes me feel like they don't really grasp and hold on to the history of our music and how it become and where it came from. You know, some of them go back as far as like the 80s, and that's it. You know, they don't really know anything about who James Brown was, or even who George Clinton and the Funkadelics are. Some of them, you know, and I think that's I don't know. That's terrible.
It's sad.
Yeah, it's sad, because I think that anyone that's into the music business should know exactly, you know, where it come from and where it started, at least, you know.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, you know, that's part of why I'm here doing this, you know. Got to keep people educated, got to honor the great artists that have, you know, given us so much beautiful music and been and innovated also, you know.
Absolutely.
I mean, thank goodness that they are so embracing of it overseas. But yeah, we could definitely use a little more of that stateside.
Yes, we can. Yes, we could use a lot more, you know. That's where a lot of my tours take place, in different other countries, in Europe and Japan, South America, you know, different places, other countries.
Yeah. Well, and you have a lot of, thankfully, clips on YouTube that viewers, I encourage them to go check out, because, you know, some really hot performances have been caught, thankfully, of
Yes.
you. One that I really liked
Thank
that I
you.
caught this past week was Mama Feel Good in Paris from 2011.
Oh, yes.
That was just fire, you know?
Oh, yes, it was. It was like, wow, you know, and I had Bruno Spade on the stage with me. So that was a plus. That was really great.
And I think it's like 10 or 11 minutes. I mean, you guys really
Yeah, well, you
do
know,
it.
that's one of the things that I think that a lot of the James Brown proteges learned and still do when they would perform. We don't know how to come off the stage. It's not that we don't want to, but it's the music and the feeling and the joy we get out of performing. And you know, if you have a great band behind you and you have a great audience, you know, you just want to give them all you got. And so that's what happens.
Well, I love that. You know, the two things I'm a big fan of are, you know, when you do it live, don't go too fast, especially if it's funk, because you'll start to lose that funk groove if you go too fast.
That's right.
And stretch it out, you know,
Mm-hmm.
stretch it out.
Yeah, you know, I've said to some of my colleagues, my musicians that I've worked with in the past and around the country and everything, you know, fast is not funky. You know, don't play too fast, because that's not you. You're gonna lose the feeling and everything. You know, you got to keep it funky. So take your time. Let's groove this. Let's do this. You know, and I think that's when you can just like stay on the stage forever, because it feels good and it's the right feeling and the move and everything, and so you can keep on going. You know. That's what's happened. I have found myself on stage, and I could see in the wings. I could see my manager going, "Oh, okay." You know, like, okay, you've been on too long. Come on, come on, come on off the stage. But it's fun. It's fun, and I love it. I enjoy it.
Did James Brown ever explain the one to you? Like Bootsy always talks about how he explained the one to him.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily to me, but I've heard him, you know, speak with the band and tell them how important it is to stay on the one, you know, because that's where the drive of the one, you know, when you push that one, it just changes everything. It changes feeling. I've had some musicians, especially you know, overseas, to not think about that and not, you know, but then I have to let them know, no, you got to stay on the one. You got to go to the one, you know, and it just changes things. It makes everything different, you know, and then that's where the funk is. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
It works. Yeah.
And it just fits everything, because I mean, you know, you want everything to be one, and we're all want to unify as one, and
Yes.
music is one, and it's
Yes.
just beautiful thing, you know.
Right. Absolutely. Yes.
So the new record, it's been out a few months, and what can you tell us about this one that people should really pay attention to?
You know, all of my albums except my first album in '79, and then my first solo album that I was involved with the writings as well. It's High Time. Was recorded here. Those two albums were recorded here, and all of the rest of my albums were all recorded all overseas with musicians, with the, you know, of course, they're musicians and everything. And I'm very proud of them, especially Japanese bands playing funk and French band, an Italian band, and they did a very, very, very good job. You know, I don't have nothing against them. You know, I loved it, what they did and what we came out with, you know. But this was my chance of recording in the States with a producer that was just amazing. And I met him. He's been a friend of mine on Facebook for many years. I met him years ago, and we had been in contact, but I hadn't talked to him in a long time. But anyway, he decided to send me his album. When he sent me his album, I listened to it and I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I can hear what I want out of his music, out of his writing. So I need to talk to him. We need to get together, and I want to record an album here in the States. So we did. I got in touch with him to let him know that I was interested. I loved this music, and you know, wanted to know if he would, how would he feel about working with me? And he said, okay, yeah, sure. You know, I asked him, it was a song that I really, really enjoyed and loved doing I think it was in the 80s, one of Rose Royce's song.
Yeah, Love Don't Live Here Anymore.
Yes, I love that. Always loved it. I sang it while I was with Mr. Brown, you know, I sang it on the show. And I just wanted to do it over again, you know. So I asked him, could he give me a new arrangement on that? And he said, sure, I would love to. His name is Michael Edel. So he, I'm telling you, he blowed me away when he sent me what he had put on, you know, a demo. I was just thrilled. And I said, you know, we got to work together. And can you try this song? And I gave him a couple of songs that I had written in the past. I always wanted to do the songs. And so now I have the chance, you know. And he said, sure, let's get together. And we did, and end up coming up with an album. I'm so thrilled because I feel like the sound that we have is actually the sound of America. It has the American feel to it. It's different. It's different than all of my other albums. And we very carefully chose the songs that I'm singing. And it was, some of them was a challenge to me because I think it's a big difference in what I was singing, the songs that I sang on my other albums overseas. This was a totally different feeling to me, you know. And I want my album to be heard here in the States, because I'm back home now, you know, because I've lived in France for 6 years and I lived in Spain for 3. And my music went very well. It did very well overseas, you know. But I wanted to feel the American feel, and I felt that Michael gave it to me. You know, he gave it to me. He gave me exactly what I wanted to hear and what I wanted to do. And we came up, and the song that we released first was "Got My Senses." I've got my senses back, and I'm so in love with it. I'm in love with all of my songs, but that one I am very much.
That's definitely one of my favorites too. You know, I'm a funk guy, so you got you know, a mix of different tempos and different styles.
Yes. Yes.
But so for me, of course, I'm immediately going to go to that one, and
Yes.
Itching for Some Bitchin', Break That Chain.
Yes. Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And that remake, you know, Left Don't Live Here Anymore, because I was a big fan of that original song too, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So and you got 2 mixes of Break That Chain, so
yes, I sure do. Long version and short. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So congratulations on the record.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so very proud of it. And then, and I'm I'm very, very pleased with Michael Edel working with me. We had a great time together, and you'll hear more from us. You'll hear more from us. In the meantime, I've got my senses back, so we're doing it.
I'm sure it was really hard for a performer like you to stand on the sidelines during some of the pandemic, right?
Yeah. Oh gosh. You know, I don't think I'm any different from anyone that, I mean, we all went through this, and it was just a something that I just never ever imagined could happen. You know, it was just amazing, and to get through it, it was very, very, very difficult because I never been off of the road, and in a situation like this where I just felt at one time that that everything was going to end, or it just wasn't going to happen anymore. But then I had to get my senses back. You know, I had to regroup. I had to actually sit down and say, okay, what's going on? And I have a lot of faith. I have a lot of faith, and I had to remember that this is not something that I could deal with on my own. That I had to go and use my faith. I had to remember that God is in control, and that that helped me. That helped me tremendously, and where I said, okay, no more thinking crazy, but I'm gonna just start continuing to do what I've always been doing. You know, so I got my senses back, and I've been moving ever since. I'm not gonna let this stop me.
Yeah, recalibrate, move forward.
Yes, absolutely.
Start anew, you know?
Yes, yes. I have a tour coming up, and I'm very, very excited about it. I had a tour last July, which that was a confirmation of my believing in myself and controlling my thoughts and saying, I can do this and it's going to happen again, and holding on to my faith. And that tour happened, and it was good.
Are you going to do some dates in America, or?
Well, you know, that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that I can continue to work in the States. As I said, I performed at the Bethesda Jazz Supper Club. I hope that I can continue to perform in the States. I would love to.
Well, we definitely want that. And
yes, I hope so.
How can people get the record?
Well, they can go to my Facebook page, and it's posted there of how you can go to my Martha High Here and Now. Here Now. You can go to that link and purchase the record there. Plus, it's on Spotify, iTunes, Pandora, Apples. It's just on all of the medias that you can, you know, you can buy it there. So I'm out there. You just have to go and choose whichever link that you want to pull up.
The usual platform suspects.
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Any hard copies?
There's going to be a few. Yes, it's going to be a limited amount. Yes, and I'm taking them overseas with me. That, you know, they're really, really into vinyl over there. And then I have a few friends here that told me that they wanted vinyl. So yeah, they'll be out very soon.
Well, that'll be a good collectible right there.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
And can they see where you're touring also at that link, or different?
Yes, it's on my artist page, Martha High, the Goddess of Soul. So you can go there, and all of my dates and performances. You know, I have videos and great photos and interviews. All of it is there. And you can, like I said, you can find the link where you can, the link is there, Martha High Here Now. .com. You know, you can go there and purchase the album there as well. So it's all there on my page, Martha High, the Goddess of Soul.
Great. Yeah, we'll look for that, and we'll continue to look forward to new music and performances. And thank you so much for all the music you've given to all of us over the years. And thanks for keeping the funk alive.
Well, thank you for that. And that's a part of me, you know, since the 60s. That's my era of music. And I don't think that I could perform without adding a little funk to it. Yeah. So thank you for that. And I'm very happy to still be a part of it and to be, I thank all of my fans and everyone that purchases my music, listen to my music. I'm so grateful and so honored that they take the time to listen to it and buy my albums and everything. I'm very, very appreciative. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for spending this time with us, and take good care of yourself.
I will, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Truth in Rhythm. A big thank you goes out to our guest as well as to you, the viewer and listener. Also, much gratitude to Pleasure for supplying the show's funky opening and closing music. As a reminder, you can always access the complete list of linked shows by episode at funkandstuff.net. I urge you to support this program and receive the extra benefits along with that by subscribing to the Funk and Stuff channel on YouTube and sharing it with funk, R&B, and jazz lovers, joining Truth and Rhythm's membership program at Patreon, submitting a donation at funkandstuff.net, buying Everything is on the One, the First Guide to Funk book at Amazon, shopping at the Funky Things store for cool merchandise at funkandstuff.net, and linking through funkandstuff.net for all of your Amazon purchases. In addition, if you're an artist or anyone seeking proven, results-oriented professional marketing, PR, writing, or editing consultation or production, check out the media services section at funkandstuff.net. Also, I encourage you to drop me a line at scottg@funkandstuff.net. I love the feedback, suggestions, guest requests, appearance and sponsorship inquiries, and just talking about my favorite subject, groove-based music. For now, and as always, this is Scott Dr. GX Goldfine saying, keep on vibing to the rhythm of the one.